everything's going to be okay.
I need to hear
Every
that.
little thing, Heather, is going to be just fine.
Right?
Right. It has to be.
Yeah. It is. It is.
What an opening. We really plunged right in.
I'm just feeling the Taurus new moon, Miranda. Like,
Girl,
oh my
say that.
God. You know,
I do know. Heather, I know. And then before, yeah, speaking of Taurus and being grounded and on the ball, folks, welcome back to all of our avid, diehard, loyal listeners, the hundreds, the thousands of you, the Patreon that we haven't started yet. We apologize. This episode is coming out a day late, and that's on the Taurus new moon. That's not on us.
That's
Let
really
us
true.
mark our words. Let us be unbelievably clear. But yeah, we just, Heather and I, both on totally opposite ends of the country, had ourselves a couple of weeks, or I should say we
Days.
ourselves, we had a week collectively, both of our weeks. You know, I don't know if we're not in retrograde, right, Heather?
No, Mercury was
But
stationing direct for a second. Yeah, but you know, the eclipses, we're still feeling it. The new moon. Also, there's a fixed grand cross happening now, which sounds like something from like Game of Thrones, but it's
sure does.
but that's the other doozy. It's a big year. It's a lot.
There's just fucking something on every corner. We can't make this stuff up, folks. But yes, this is my partner in crime, my co-host from the gods, my angelic queen of the Aquarians, Heather Cunningham. Just simply a genius when it comes to astrology. Hey, get a reading done by her, okay? Slide on into those DMs. It's at H Cunningham 17, right? Or
at
you
H
Heather
Cunningham 217.
217. I apologize. And you know what that means, folks? February 17th, her birthday.
Same day as Paris Hilton.
And same exact day as Paris Hilton. I do forget that. It really is the same exact day. And then I came on in like, oh, literally like a month later, truly.
Yeah.
Came on into existence. I said, I can't be inside of the stomach any longer with Heather Cunningham on the outside. And folks, that's me, Miranda Lenski. Just been following Heather every day since. But yes, it's been a Taurus time. Oh my goodness. It's been a lot. And we talked about this, I think, last episode too, Heather, about like, just because it's Earth doesn't mean it's all stable. But you know what is interesting, and I'm very interested. It's interesting, and I'm interested to see, Heather, if you feel the same.
Yeah.
In your experience. But this past week was definitely like a refresher for me. Or while it came with like some emotional, for the listeners, I had family in town. My parents came to visit New York City, and Heather actually went out of town.
Yeah.
You returned to Florida, not to home base, but to Florida nonetheless. And my parents visiting, we did so many touristy things, which was actually really fun, because it's really not the most fun to be a New Yorker and then like go do touristy stuff. But when people come into town, I felt the same way when I lived in LA. It was always really fun. It was like a treat to do touristy stuff because I never normally do it. You try to stay out of the way of touristy stuff when you live in the city, with cities like that, just because it's like, there's just so many other things where there's not so many people. And, it's just not maybe always the norm to go to Times Square, so to speak, or the Hollywood sign all the time. Right. But, or the Walk of Fame is always slammed. My parents were like, we can't believe you didn't do, when they visited LA, they're like, you've never done the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I'm like, no, because people like you are here and it's a nightmare and you're stopping to take a picture of every star. And I got places to be, and I'm
also
in a car.
The smell and the grimy. Oh my God.
Exactly. And like they saw Times Square, and I was like, yeah, you see why I never come here. It's not enjoyable, but it's really a treat when people visit. And it was just so fun. And we did Ellis Island, which I had done before, but not since I officially moved here, but I did when I visited. And I was reminded that my great grandfather on my Lenski side we're Russian. Lenski's a very Russian last name. If it wasn't for Ellis Island and if it wasn't for New York City, like I literally, it like started clicking. I was like, I might not literally be here if it wasn't for the fact that Ellis Island was a thing when it was, and New York City opened. Like my family had to come to New York City. It had to be the first stop. And I actually have the postcard from the ship that my family, like the passenger carrier ship that took them from Russia essentially to Ellis Island. Like I have a postcard from it. And so we went to Ellis Island and we were able to look all this stuff up. And so even though it was like a really emotional goodbye because I had so much fun and it's like I had a vacation and a little break from like stresses of life and reality, I got to like really be at home with my mom and dad for a second. Like it was so, even though I was really emotional and a little like torn up when they left, it was so nice being reminded that like I weirdly was rerouted here almost by it. And by doing a bunch of touristy stuff, I felt really connected to like my ancestry for a second and like just
Yeah.
felt really at home in New York City in a whole different way. And
Right.
it was a really weird sensation. As emotional and like heavy as it was too. And like I just lost my grandparents on my Lenski side
Right.
last year. And so it stirred up a lot of like that reconnection and like, yeah, it was just a really
Yeah.
charged kind of heavy time, but that also felt like weirdly, I was like, what weird timing that my parents came and visited right at the new moon.
Right.
And I feel like I got this huge reset. I don't know. Do you feel, I don't
Yeah.
know if that
Yeah.
resonates at all with you, Heather, or
Yeah.
if you,
Yeah, that's really
I'm like, I'm
cool.
hoping you can find a reset like I did, or like I found a
Yeah.
little silver lining in the kind of the heavy week I
No,
experienced. But
I think so too, and that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. I think that yeah, it's interesting. I think I also went back to a sense of family in a way because I went to visit like my best friends, a lot of whom used to live in this city with me, who I'd spend like every day with, who I don't anymore. So I did have that
mm,
sense of like, oh wow, I'm back in this comfort space that I haven't. I feel like I've been in the unknown Saturn return transitional phase for a while, and that
right.
kind of brought me back to family and comfort. Um,
Aw.
and so yeah, I can agree with that. I think that it also brought up a lot of emotions and a lot of just assessing my life and trying to figure out in that Taurus way, like how do I build a proper foundation for myself, and what is the life I
Yeah.
want? What does that look like, and how do I take the steps to get there? I've been thinking a lot, but I definitely feel this week and my trip was a very bringing me back to my values time, which I think is really
Yes.
the main theme of Taurus is what do you really value? And it's funny, on my way back, I had so much horrible flight issues, and I actually changed my flight so that I could spend a little bit more time in the dream, state with
Mm-hmm.
my friends. But
Yeah.
then coming home, it was such a fucking wreck. I mean, I missed my first flight, had to get a horrible layover, slept in an airport, and then there was an issue on the second flight. And so I had to book a whole new flight, spend extra money. I mean,
Yeah.
but it really like showed me, one, that I am more of an adult than I realize, and that I can control how much stress I allow myself to feel in these moments. And
Right.
also, money is not my main value in life. And
No, ma'am.
yeah, I think I'm still processing all of the emotions and thoughts that came with this week, but I definitely do feel Taurus in there. This like, okay, Heather, what do you value now, and let's focus on that and build from there.
And how can we combine Heather, you hit my little nail right on my little head with
Oh,
that. Like the returning, you articulated that in such a beautiful way that yes, I agree. It was like, I think especially because I was around my parents and I'm an only child and I have a really weird relationship with them. And like we have our issues, of course, and we have our fights and our disagreements, but like for the most part, I'm really fortunate in the way that I get to I feel like be 100% myself with them, kind of maybe in a way I think they wish I wasn't. Like I think they do wish I maybe like polished up a little more around
oh,
them, but I am just so comfortable with them and I'm like, you raised this, sorry. um but yes, and in a way that I was really reminded, it was so special getting reminded of like, wow, the Lenski, my last name, like that family came through on this side. The reason they came here, like is the reason I'm here. And it just made me feel like I'm way more connected to the city than I thought. Or, you know, it was nice being reminded of it in all those different ways. And then,
Yeah.
yes, being around like you said, like your chosen family or people who like you knew since college, and like being
Mhm.
reminded of like, it's like you're around people who remind you of yourself again.
Yeah.
It's really easy for us to get lost in the own mazes of our minds, right? And to
Mhm.
kind of not have that perspective. And then being around, you know, people who bring that side out of you is really special. And it feels like Taurus is all about combining the two, your passions, what makes you you, but
Yeah.
then also the stability of making a living and making money
Right.
from those things.
Right.
It's all very on the nose. But yeah, just wild, Heather, that like we both kind of had this like reset. It was very engulfed in a morals focus.
Yeah.
We're both going through our Saturn returns, as I know a lot of our listeners are also going through or about to, or just maybe did. So it's interesting that our brain, I just like can't believe sort of we had very different but very similar sort of weeks. And
Yeah.
like, and it felt like we both really needed these sort of vacations or these little breaks from reality. But it to me, it really was like a break from reality in order to like reset. It was really serendipitous timing.
Yes.
You going on this trip, my parents visiting.
Yeah.
Because again, I know I didn't like leave town, but it really did feel, you know, I was on vacation time
No, it
in
was a
town.
break from your normal
It
life.
really was.
Yeah.
I was like
Yeah.
having 12-hour days with my parents, and then
Right.
like truly just coming home to sleep, would wake up, we'd start all over again. I'd get to their
Yeah.
hotel, you know, we'd bada bing, bada boom, as they say here in the big
Right.
ass apple. But yeah, no, it was just really, I just find that really like
Yeah.
really eerie that
I
we both
know.
kind of, and so I'm assuming our listeners could only have, you know, been in a similar spot.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
interesting because I haven't really thought about talking about this with you and understanding that we've had similar experiences this week during the Taurus new moon. It like colors my theories about the Taurus new moon even more. I'm thinking like, oh
right.
yeah, yeah, values. Yeah, totally. Um
And that earth
yeah,
energy of like sort of naturally looking at the long term, right? That's very earth to
right.
not like be so, it's so fun how like spontaneous these movements were,
Mhm.
because like I know we don't always classify earth as being a spontaneous
Right.
sign, and by nature, and all I mean by that respectfully is that earth is, you know, not that earth can't be fun. I feel like that you know, sometimes that's the connotation of earth is always responsible and always a rule follower.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not always how I look at earth. It's like earth is the first sign to know the rules in order to
Mhm.
break them. It's like
Mhm.
they have their own sort of like moral codes of like, well, there's always ways to bend and there's always loopholes. And earth will be the first sign to sort of know that.
Yeah.
And that's really always been fascinating to me because my dad was never like a narc, but he always was someone, and like I just, this is something I feel like I've seen in earth signs. My dad's a Virgo. They get the rep for being rule followers, but my dad's always been sort of a rule follower, but for the sake of bending them a little bit too. Like I
Right,
don't know, it's
right.
not that
No,
earth can't have
totally.
fun and let loose by any
Absolutely.
means. um
Absolutely. Yeah, and it makes me think of so my I don't know if I told you this, but my car window shattered spontaneously
oh my god,
right
were you
before
in
I went on
it?
this trip. I was literally driving from Jordy's charity work event and my window just spontaneously shattered. And it's like the
What window?
comfort of
Like
I've
not
had
your
a lot of
windshield?
not my windshield, my driver's side
Well, not
window.
that it
Just
fucking matters. Yeah, that's still, it's like, oh my God,
I know.
Heather.
I was like,
So
did
you were
someone just
sitting
shoot
right
me?
by
I
the
was
window?
I was literally right by like yeah, next to
My
the window
volume
as
just
it
like
shattered. No,
elevated,
I know. It's really
screaming into the mic.
insane. It's really
Oh my
insane.
God.
But yeah, I've had a couple of these experiences
I'm
recently
so
that
happy
are
you're
very like,
okay.
thank you.
Wait, you
Yeah.
didn't get hit by glass at
I
all?
didn't. And
Oh my
apparently, like
God.
they make the windows what's the word? Like glossed over on
Insulated.
either side so that that doesn't happen. Like it can shatter, but it won't like
Oh,
actually fall on you because that was my first fear and I literally pulled over and googled. I was like, can shattered glass like fall on you as you're driving? So yeah, it's
wow.
totally fine. But two points I want to make. The first is that I've had a lot of these like adult travesties, so not travesty, but I've had these like stresses,
my
adult
God,
stresses
yeah,
this
I
week
would
where
call that an adult
shit
stress.
has just like
And then
unexpected
some.
unexpected earth shit that I have to deal with has like come up basically. But I'm really proud of myself for not getting, I used to like freak out when shit like this happened, and now I really am just like, nope, I'm in control of my body, I'm in control of my emotions. This is just a minor, inconvenience. It's temporary. It's going to be fine. Like I'm proud of myself for not freaking out. But
do you remember this? I'm so sorry. Do you remember the song playing? Were you listening to a song or a podcast at the time?
I don't remember the song that was playing, but I will say I was driving through an area that reminded me of someone from my recent past. And
that was going to be my next question. Do you remember like the road?
Yes, I was in an area that I used to spend a lot of time in about a year ago, and I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. And then I looked up symbolism for windows shattering, and it's like total ending, irreparable, like can't be put back together again. You're moving on. And I was like, okay, hear you.
That is so wild. That's so wild. And also real quick, Heather, not to tangent, but while my mom was here, it's so funny because I don't really classify, my dad is spiritual. I don't think he would outright be like, I'm spiritual, but he definitely is, whether he admits it like or not. But he never like went to church with us growing up. More just because he was like, no, I'm fucking sleeping in on my day off. Like, I think he was more just like, and then he really did have a job where he worked weekends and like could not come with us on Sundays. But I went like for a little bit there with my mom, very non-denominational, very chill Christian church.
Yeah.
While she was raised Catholic, he was raised Episcopalian. Anyways, but he's definitely like agnostic. He's definitely spiritual. He definitely, I don't even know if he himself would put a label on it, but like he believes in a bigger something, yada yada. My mom, though, I always have really classified as like more being Catholic. I'm never really sure if she would consider herself spiritual. I think a lot of her upbringing makes it a little more black and white for her. But while she was in town this weekend, she brought up how she keeps noticing she sees the number 11. So to the point where she's catching it all the time, whether it be her phone, she picks it up and it says 10-11 or 11-11. Or just like it like sticks out to her to the point where she's like recognizing it, to the point where she herself looked it up and got a little more into like angel numbers and what it means when you see repetitive, like what the symbolism behind it means. And I was like, you did? And I was just so like flabbergasted. And hers was a lot about like it's a fresh start. And my mom's been working at her job a long time, but she's been making jokes recently, like her job is an accounting job. She has 12-hour days, especially like tax season isn't just April for her. Like it's really more of like majority of their year. And she just got promoted, but she's been kind of making jokes, not jokes, but like, I don't want to be morbid with this, where she's like, I think my job's kind of killing me. Like I don't move enough at it. I'm just like sitting at a desk all the time. Like it takes up, it's never just 8-hour days. It's like 12, 13, 14. Like even on my days off, I'm still doing like 4 hours of work just to make sure I'm staying on top of everything. Like, and she's been promoted, so she's in charge, and like she's just got a lot more on her plate. And I think she's really
wanting a new start.
I think she's really tired, and I think she really wants to like relax. And I think she wants to be, it's incredible that she just got this promotion, but I think she'd really rather be retiring, you know? And I think she's really, this is maybe going to force her to start thinking of ways like, how can I work from home? Like a lot of the clients that she currently has are from a firm she worked at like years ago even. So like my mom's really good at what she does. She's really built a living for herself. And I was talking to her more about like, what if we set you up working from home, being your own boss, being your own accountant? I don't know, all that to say, it was really interesting that she kept noticing that so much as she did. And it really was so exciting for me that I was like, my mom's a spiritual bitch. Like she looked up angel numbers. Like that's so fun because I do the same thing. And
I love that.
anyways, just wanted to add that really quick, that my mom the whole trip kept seeing 11s, and she's like, what does it mean? I keep seeing them. And she kept being like, oh, there's one. And like, it was just, she's not looking for it though either. Like it really would just be like, she'd pick up her phone at the time. There was even a moment where she moved her Apple Watch on her wrist. She wasn't even looking at it, but I was. And I was like, Mom, look. And I was like,
no way.
And she was like, oh, now you're seeing them. And I was like, God. You know, it was just really,
that's so fun. Oh, that's cute.
And in this Earth time, I feel like there probably is so much more like in your face symbolism, the way Earth, you know,
because it's tangible, it's the material. Oh, true.
The way Earth communicates is a little more in your face. It might be like those signs, might be a little more obvious and in our face right now because of the
Right.
way that makes a lot of sense to me because of how Earth
Oh,
likes to communicate with us. Yes.
love
And
that you said that.
it's going to get as close to the tangible as it can, right? If I'm, out of
Yes.
any of the
You can't
signs,
avoid it. It's
yeah. Anyway, so yes, back to your
Wow.
window.
Well, okay. So yeah, I love that.
Jesus.
That was an amazing tangent.
Yeah, sorry. Had to add it, of course.
No,
You
I
made me
love
totally
that.
I totally forgot about it, and then you made me remember it.
I
Again,
love that
the
for Mama
alignments our
Linsky.
past weeks have been. Oh my God.
Literally, I feel like this happens often too. But
Oh,
yeah, I was
please.
going to say the second point I wanted to make about the window is that
Yes.
my dear friend Christian, who's a double Taurus, who in many
Oh,
ways is my like earthy role
shouts
model,
out. Yes.
shouts out.
Christian Miola.
He really
Christian
is a
Miola, come on
great
the pod.
come on the pod, Christian. He really is a great role model for me in an earthy sense because he really
Mm-hmm.
has showed me that you can be an earth sign without um being it in the stereotypical way that we think of it as like money is the main focus, or because that's not what earth really is about. And
Right.
Taurus especially, it's very value driven. And Taurus or Christian had his window shatter spontaneously. He wasn't in the car when it happened, and this happened years ago. It was his back window. So yeah,
Oh my
shattered
God.
spontaneously. He doesn't know why. And, most people would think double Taurus, they have a car issue, they deal with it immediately. Maybe they get a little stressed out about it and they save the money to fix it right away, to be careful, to be very of the earth.
Right.
No, no, no. Christian's like, I don't give a shit about my car. Like, that is not something I value. Like, who the fuck cares? I'm just gonna leave it like that. Like, I can still drive around. Like, he
That's
left it like that
amazing.
for like 3 years. And like, I really admire that quality. And I'm trying to figure that out within myself. Like, what are the things I give a shit about because it is my main core value, and what can
Yeah.
I decide just not to get stressed out about, even if someone else would get stressed out about that. Like, I
Right.
don't have to.
Well, it's not so much
So
that Earth is like addicted to responsibility. I think
right.
it's more of like Earth is really good about knowing what is and what is important.
Yes.
Even if it's not, but also not from a way of like, well, we just have to work, but like Earth's gonna probably be one of the first signs to make work not a job, because it's like
Right.
Earth is probably a lot easier in the ways that it accepts that like we have to make money to live,
Yeah.
right? Like, of course, no one wants to fucking work. I guess that's not true. I think a lot of people do really enjoy like hard work, and like all the power to you. Not saying I don't enjoy like hard work myself,
When
but
it
it's the
matters to me.
way when it matters to me, right? I know a lot of people who are like, it could be any job. If it's mine, I'm gonna
Right.
work really
Some
hard.
people
And
have
like,
that.
yeah, I guess. And like, I'm
Usually
not,
Virgos.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But also it's like more of the way that Earth is like, no, it's the fact that I have to accept like the logistics that, of course, like working and making money is a part of being able to live and enjoy life, because Earth wants to enjoy itself.
Yeah.
And that's why Earth is usually really good at, it's so funny when we've talked about a lot of like the earth signs that we have covered so far, because now we have done Virgo, Cap, and we're at the very end of Taurus. And it's not like there's not really creative artistic people that we cover, obviously, but it's like the way in which like no wonder they made their career happen, because they're Earth. Like I find it really
Right.
admirable. Like Earth
Yeah.
is still really, it's still a sign that's gonna like chase its passions, and even
Yeah.
better yet, learn how to make its passion its way of
It's
making
thing that
money
brings it
too.
earthly pleasure. Yes, totally,
Right.
totally.
And the tangible as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's honestly, it's really powerful to
It
combine the
is.
two. It's really quite
Yeah.
something. It's really
Yeah.
special. We joke all the time, Heather, you and I. I'm like, oh God, I need more Earth.
Right. I know. It's my
I'd
moon,
get
and
more
I'm still
shit
like, I
done.
need more earth, Jesus.
Truly, it's my rising, and I'm like, you're not fooling anyone. Oh, gorgeous. And with that, Heather, shall we start moving into, speaking of,
it's our
last
oh,
Taurus.
till next year.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you get to say what you wanted to
Oh
about
yeah. No, I was ready to move on. Yeah.
There wasn't another point?
No,
I'm like, because you can keep
I was
going
just
with
gonna
it.
I was just gonna say this was a great conversation, and I feel very
I
inspired and
loved
enlightened.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love all of our conversations, Heather. You know
Me
that.
too.
But like, no, it was such a funny thing unraveling how kind of alike our weeks were emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It's just because they were very different in the real life and in the tangible, but like a lot of the symbolism behind both of our past weeks has just been really wild. How
Yes.
intertwined. And I'm really curious to know about the listeners as well. Listeners, if you
Yeah.
have a story to share from this past week, maybe something that made you more connected to your morals or got you more passionately on the right track or something, big world views, we want to hear about it. DM us at Hollywood Horoscopes on Instagram. And maybe we've got some surprises in store on other ways you can start communicating with us. More on that. You have to listen all the way through. But with that, Heather, yes, these next Taurans, our last Taurans of the season, very excited. This first birth chart, what a splash of an earth sign she really is. And just, she's beloved. It's so funny. These earth signs, I feel like, do the best when it terms of like having fans from all across different everything. Like Adele is, but like, I know boomers who love her, I know zoomers who love her, like so many different age groups, so many different like people, so many different like types of people that I know enjoy Adele. And I'm like, that's got to be her earth, and of course her voice. But
yeah,
Adele, ladies, gentlemen, I mean, please, what like one of the queens of the Taurans, I must say. Just so someone who's so good at being like, I don't give a fuck. This is me. Like, I'm not here to play games. Like,
yeah,
you get what you see, like what you see is what you get, but also like does so much of their communicating and their emotion and like their passions come through in their art.
yes,
Specifically her songs, which she writes a lot of.
yes.
I love that she not only has the pipes, she's got the rights. Okay. Oh dear. But yeah, like that's what's so fun about Adele. She writes very sort of like honestly, and then
yeah,
from her real life experience. It's very,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of her complications come out in her art, and that's where her Taurus is sort of allowed to thrive. She's so fun. I love Adele. Have you ever seen her in an interview?
No, oh yeah, she seems like such a good time. Like she seems so cool.
So, like very one of the biggest divas, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but just in terms of her voice. Like I feel like you get the reputation of being a diva because you earned it. Like your voice is that good in a way that you should be treated special.
Right. You stand out for whatever reason. Yeah.
She's got a diva. She's a diva amongst the divas in that way, but she's so fun how just down to earth she is. There was like that live she did that like is now kind of been memed, but she's like, when people are like, what's the new album about? She's like, divorce, babes, divorce. Or I can't do her accent. What the fuck was that? That was very New York of me. Because I've been touring her out, but she said, divorce, babes. I can't do it. Oh, well, because she's got a really kind of funny, it's really more up here. It's very heavy London an accent. I
think you're doing a pretty good job.
I'm trying. What is that accent called? I'm not trying to be offensive, darlings, but yeah, divorce, babes, divorce. Like she immediately in her life was like, yeah, like we're gonna go there, and so raw, so
keeping
authentic.
it real, like a Taurus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that about Adele.
And
so
Sag
funny.
Moon, which our next guest has a Sag Moon also, actually. Very similar charts, which is funny.
Oh, very funny.
Yeah, but the Sag Moon, very honest too. Very just like, you know,
say,
this is how it is.
She kind of cannot not be her. Yeah. Very funny. And then what's her rising, Heather? Sorry, I X'd out of her chart on accident. Cancer rising.
Yeah, Cancer rising.
Which explains so much.
Yeah.
Her songs are very emotional and raw, and she's got that voice that makes you feel every bit of that, every single ounce of her like words and her raw talent of a voice, and then the way she writes her own songs. But then like she's got she's got that fiery like, it's all good. Like she can cry at these, write these morbidly sad, Adele makes everyone cry songs, including herself, I'm sure. But it's like the way she expresses that and gets that out, I think is why she's able to be so like, like
totally.
Like it's all good.
Yeah.
I sung it out.
Right. She's connected to her emotions and she's obviously very sensitive, but she has a great ability to push the emotions through, like which is very Taurus, I think. Just like knowing the steps you take to process the emotions, and for her it's like writing songs. I love Adele. I really do. She's so funny too. And I feel like a lot of Taurans are like that. Yes. Very funny and down to earth. Like, but you're one of the most famous people in the world. You have one name.
Your name is
Right.
Adele.
Yeah.
And
Another
but
one
yeah,
name.
but yeah, you're like, it's just me. And she'll drink. There's so many stories of her, like, she'll see fans at restaurants and stuff, and she'll get drunk with them and buy their tabs and like just hang with them. I
I
think she's
love
really
that.
addicted to feeling normal in the
Oh,
ways that she can.
wow.
So
Oh,
like
that's
she'll
so
go to a
cool.
pub and just like hang out, which is like crazy because it's Adele.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
really, really
crazy.
cool. That's
And I
really
don't think
cool.
like I think in maybe these little London or like these towns where she's from in England, maybe these pubs where there's not paparazzi flooding the scene, like she's able to get away with that more. I'm not sure how frequently she's doing that in America, but I feel like I've heard more than once that that's happened to her people at pubs before. Like Adele's just
Wow.
come in and like yeah.
I
And then
love
everyone
that. I
gave her
want
so much
that.
shit for losing weight. But I think we all need it. Like there's yes, of course there's Hollywood gets to you, and of course like that's a real thing, right? They said the same thing about Khloe Kardashian. Like we lost Khloe because she lost all that weight. But it's a real thing that singers, actors, famous people that we loved, that we do love, it's a real thing. Your health, especially when you get older, um, being overweight can really. I'm literally thinking of Tony Soprano, the actor who played Tony Soprano, kind of died pretty young, and I
Mm,
think a lot of that. I think he had a heart attack, and I remember being like, "Oh, he's so young," but I was a kid. I wasn't a kid, but but just remember being like, "Oh, he's so young," but I think like they talked about his diet and his weight being like a factor, and like the same thing happened with Mama Cass back in the day. I think she died like in her 40s even. Like
yeah.
there's a part of me
Well,
that's like, you have enough history of people dying, like their weight being a real issue into why they die younger. Don't we want to delve around as long as we can?
totally. And
I'm
didn't she
just
have a baby
saying.
recently? I think that probably played into it,
Right,
like
like
the just
I
wanting to.
understand wanting to. I just like I totally get that the pushback from wanting women, or like especially that the flack that women get, and the pressure they feel to be really skinny, and like there's a whole world where that's really unhealthy, and being really underweight can be unhealthy, of course, absolutely. But like I feel like sometimes we forget that being overweight can lead to health problems as well.
For
And
sure.
like I do know the flack women get, of course we know the flack women get, Heather, us, and like we both have lived, you currently live in LA, I used to, like no one gets that better than women themselves, and you don't have to live in Hollywood to get that sort of bullshit. But yeah, I don't know, I think there's something really like she's still Adele to me. It's not
Yeah.
like
Oh,
Adele
yeah.
lost weight and then completely changed her personality. It's
No,
not
or
like
her
she
voice
completely,
or
or
anything.
her, yeah,
It's
her voice or the way she presents herself, or like just
yeah.
anything. Like it's a
If
really
she's
fun,
feeling
like
good, that's what we
she's
should.
healthy, and now she's a healthier version of herself. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing. Like more
Yeah.
power to her. And like
Yeah.
it's I had a feeling she wouldn't change. And
Yeah.
I don't really know if Chloe's changed. Like I think people get scared that it's like it's gonna affect their personality maybe, and I get, or like your songs are it's not like she completely changed up her music either,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so no,
Well,
she's just a
what's
healthier, better version of herself, and we love that for her.
yeah.
If it
What's
makes her
interesting.
happier, we should be fans. Sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. What's interesting, and I want to be careful how I say this, but
Right. I also was trying to
sim
be very
no,
peculiar. Like I'm trying,
yeah.
like I do see both sides. We obviously know the horrors, blah blah blah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
Well, when I bring in the symbolism of astrology, it's really
ahead.
interesting that they say Jupiter overindulges and whatever it makes
Mm,
everything larger than life. It can get carried away. And so when you have a really strong Jupiter placement like that, there's certain areas of life where you like expand too much and then you have to
right.
like dramatically compensate,
Right.
is like the symbolism, and that can play out in 100
Interesting.
different ways. But
Where is their Jupiter? Or where say it
Adele
again?
has it right next to her sun in Taurus,
Right next to
which
the
is very
sun.
powerful. If you have that right next to your sun, which is like the planet in astrology, it's your personality. Having Jupiter there is like really cool. It means that she has a sort of optimism and a faith in things working out, and it's very positive and lucky. But the negative is that you can go too far with things,
Mm.
and you have to constantly like balance yourself.
Interesting. Because also Adele's most latest album is essentially sort of about that, when she's talking about the divorce. Like it was really sad and she still loves her partner. But I think a lot of the conversation around it, and like just listening to her songs alone, was in regards to she wanted more of a chance to be single and young. So it's like she missed that. She felt like she got married really young and had a kid really young. And but also, her career was so, it has to be crazy when your career is this successful, because she was like 25, I think, when her debut album came out. And she wasn't as famous as she is now, but like, I want to say all of the albums are her age. Like it's the age.
Right.
And that's,
yeah, she was so young when
she was
she
so young.
first came onto the scene.
So it has to be so hard. Anyone in that trajectory of that kind of career, when you get that successful that young, it's kind of like, well, a lot of people get married still on their way to their dream, and like they haven't hit all their milestones yet. This is why I think when people are like, why do famous people get married so young or have so much issues with like relationships? It's like, well, to have a career so successful, what else do you have time to really do but to focus and sort of sabotage your own self in that way? Not sabotage, but you know what I mean?
I
like,
get what you're saying.
I think this is why so many famous people maybe get with wrong people, because they're like, well, I've checked this huge box in my career. Now it's left is just to have a family and kids. And then so it's like they rush into things where it's like your life isn't sort of the same. Like getting to know people is a little different. Like it is, there's just, that does exist, obviously, no matter how normal you try to keep your life. When you're a household name, that's not normal. That's that's not, if everyone was a household name, then it would be like weird to be not know. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Totally. Like, I can't even imagine.
It's right. We can all agree it's still not the norm. But I think she got her own issues with getting married younger and having a kid, is that she realized that like she was checking boxes in her words, or this is how I sort of interpret,
which Jupiter tends to do, or like,
so it's like she's getting that balance now. Like she's going back because she's realizing there was something missed, and she needed more time to like be alone and for herself.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Really interesting that you said that, Heather. Wow.
Yeah.
Adele. Is there anything else, Heather, in her chart that worth noting for the listeners, for the Adelies out there?
I think those are the main interesting points.
Yeah. And her chart has such that like, it's I don't know the degree it's tilted on, because I still don't really know how to read that. I don't know what it technically is right side up of the chart, I'm realizing. But does that make sense? But that's kind of a complicated way I explain that, so no need to try to help that with me, right? Or help me with that right now. But like I do notice that like that sharp like zigzag she has like in the middle, like those red, a lot of those reds are like tick 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 tick.
She has a lot of oppositions. Is
that why I'm seeing such like there's so much zigzag right there? It looks like a patch of yarn.
Which again brings up a theme of balancing. Like she has in her chart, she has certain planets on one end wanting one thing and then other positions wanting another thing. There's a lot of that in here. It's not necessarily an easy chart, but the Sun conjunct Jupiter is such a lucky placement that almost balances out the easiness with the challenges. So it's a cool one.
And so her Sun being that close to Jupiter, do you think that has a lot to do with her like being famous so young?
So young, for sure. Yeah. To me, that's a placement where like you can see it. You can see that you're able to dream big, and it's not the same blockages that the rest of us feel. Like they see possibilities for themselves.
Yeah, like she could, like it was easier for her to stick with it, and then that effortless. There's almost like I'm envious of it. There's almost like a naivete that kind of comes with that. And a little bit of ignorance and arrogance that I think you almost need to do this sort of career. You do, because a lot of people and so many famous people will be the first to tell you that a lot of it is fucking luck, and like we know this, and so it's sort of like, but look how many people know that and still chase it, and still like. So you almost do have to have a little bit of an arrogance and a little bit of like a confidence that only someone who is a little arrogant could have. It's a beautiful thing. I'm envious of it.
No, me too.
With all due respect.
I think Jupiter creates its own luck in a way.
Yes.
They say that about it. It like creates its own luck because it just has that optimistic outlook, and it's like deep. It's not just like a superficial like.
Right.
I think I'm good at this. It's deep.
Right. And like she worked hard. Adele was in bars, singing in bars and little like pubs, and like she really did do the grinding, and like
I'm sure.
Please, listeners, don't come for us. We're big fans of Adele in this house.
Yes.
Not to try to say she just like got like, it's not like she's posted a YouTube video and that was it. Like she really put the work in. But again, that's the arrogance that is involved, or that is necessary. It's because it is not fun. I think that's what so many people don't realize, especially like with stand-up comedians. Like we talk about this all the time. Like you have to really like it and really want it, because it's really not easy and fun.
Yeah.
And I think so many people, you just see the outcome, and now she gets to have a lot of fun. Not that it's still easy, but she gets to like, look how many people are just coming to her shows. She's a household name. She's done it. Like, yeah, but that Earth is going to make her put that hard work in, and then that Jupiter is going to be her like shining star, or like her North Star, to keep her believing. And then that's what's going to keep the hard work coming. It's a beautiful chart in its own way. But yes, and it's one of those charts where I feel like, oh yeah, she was set up from the career point, but the personal life is what's sort of delayed. Whereas like a lot of normal people's trajectories, it's like their personal life gets sorted first, and then the career comes later, or whatever. Later on.
I know, that's always interesting. Yeah,
it really is fascinating.
Good point.
Yeah. Adele, we really just do love you.
Love you,
right
Adele.
on the show. Episode 35, Heather, let me just say, we are on fire.
Can you believe it? I know.
35 episodes.
It's really a feat.
It really is. And only 1,100 more to go.
Exactly.
Adele, so fun. Taurans themselves, so fun.
Love the energy.
I love the energy. I love the Taurans in my life. Shouts out to Michael San Juan, and also Jesse Carnival. Those were two Taurans I just celebrated, as well as Christiana Kirku. Also a Taurus. Like, I'm really surrounded by quite a few Taurans, and they're very special to me.
And shouts out to Christian Miola and Zach Hagen, two very special Taurans. Yes, two very special Taurans in my life.
And if we left off any Taurans that we know and love,
we apologize.
We didn't mean to. It was we're just not like you guys. We're just not Taurans, so we're
literally
a little more forgetful. Oh, and I do have to give another quick shout out to Heather, just because this was so funny. I bumped into Blair like while I was with my parents. It was so funny. So funny. So shouts out to Blair. It was the cutest thing in the world. I was like, and here's to Gallup Station, like to my right, and Blair was like leaving Trader Joe's, and she had just like slipped in, I think, to Trader Joe's and Target really quick. But yeah, and it was so sweet and cute seeing Blair just out of the blue. And my parents were even like, we thought New York was supposed to be like a big city. And I'm like, yeah, she's got her small town pockets. It's wild.
Yeah.
And this would happen to be in LA as well.
Literally all the time.
The FSU crew runs deep in every city, baby. Don't forget
really
it. Go Knowles, baby.
Go Knowles.
Anyway, so yes. But with that, Heather, take us away on our next celebrity chart.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Knowles, one cast member on this show literally went to FSU. His name is Tom Schwartz. We are not covering Tom Schwartz today because Tom is a Libra and this individual is a Taurus. But if you are a fan of Vanderpump Rules and you've been following the Scandival drama, holy shit, Vanderpump Rules is really back in its heyday. I think it's the greatest reality show of all time. And
Heather has been a fan since I've known her. She's the one who even like ever really showed me Vanderpump Rules. But Heather, really quick, for those of us who don't keep up and don't watch, not me, the others possibly listening, Vanderpump Rules came out like around the same time as Laguna Beach, right? It was kind of more like earlier 2000s, or am I getting that wrong?
I think it was more around when we were in high school, I want to say. Like the statement necklaces were a huge thing in those first seasons. It was like 2010s, like early 2010s, I want to say.
Tarantino necklaces. What is it? You know what I'm talking about? Is it Tarantino? Like they would be the big locks, like the big heart locks, and like the big like flower jewel. What am I trying to say? But statement necklaces. You're talking about like the 2010s for sure.
Yes.
And like tank tops, like little skinny scarves with a tank top.
Yeah, that vibe.
Jeans,
exactly.
Ripped up low-rise jeans.
Exactly. Or
big
like,
purses.
The little big purses, little tank top with the like little skirt, tucked in, and Yeah. So best show ever. It had a lull for a while and now it is back in a major way.
That's right.
Thank God. And I mean, really, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Scandival drama, where basically one of the couples on the show who has been together for like 7 years, it just was revealed while they were filming this current season that Tom Sandoval, one of the main characters who was in this long-term relationship with Ariana, was cheating, having an affair with their like best friend, who is the new up and coming younger cast member, and literally is best friends with Tom Sandoval and his long-term girlfriend Ariana, but they've been having an affair behind closed doors. And it was revealed while they were filming this season. So they like wrapped the season, they were getting ready to do the reunion, and then this got released, this information got released, and they
So it like
went
definitely
back
wasn't
to
for the
filming.
show. It wasn't
No.
like to get views for the show,
No,
it happened when they weren't filming.
I mean, I always wonder if like in the back of their minds they're like, well, if this comes out, it'll be good television anyway, and Vanderpump is kind of in a lull and whatever. But like, yeah, no, it was revealed after they stopped filming, and then Bravo was like, all right, cameras back up, and they recorded for another week. Can you believe that? So last night the new finale aired with this, like their back to filming episode aired. And it's just been wild. I mean, the community is going absolutely nuts. And Scheana Shay, who I'm covering, who's a Taurus, she is a pivotal part of this because she was the first person that Raquel, who was the other woman, Raquel confided in Scheana. And Scheana, in her Taurus way, I think like, I want to get it was rumored that she punched her in the face, and I think it's come out that she didn't punch her in the face, but she like shoved her against the wall and threw the phone because she was so angry, and she has so much loyalty to her good friend Ariana, and like she was defending Raquel this whole season, but Raquel was being shady, having an affair. It's so insane, the like layers. It's really, if you don't watch Vanderpump, I highly recommend you do. But anyway, I think Sheena's Taurus. Right? But Sheena's Taurus is strong. I mean, the loyalty there to get so worked up. And also, like, she was the one defending Raquel this whole season, so being Raquel's
she's
friend.
Like being a Taurus as well and wanting to stay loyal. And then it's like, you motherfucker, I was loyal to you and I defended you, and you knew you were being fucking shitty. Right. And now you've put me. Oh, I feel that. That would really burn me to the core too.
She's pissed. Like,
oh yeah. Because it's like, and this is like, a lot of just a quick tangent. I was going to say, a lot of the Taurans in my life are very loyal beings. And like, when I do think of friends who have like ever defended me, or really been like angry the way I'm angry and upset the way I'm upset, like on that same level, have always been like Taurans. It's really like my best friend Christiana is always like, oh, any toxic ex hated immediately without a doubt. And it's not in the way like I think fires sometimes can have that loyalty, but then they're also going to be like, oh, I'm going to create a whole new account and like leave nasty messages. We're going to want, this person's going to want themselves dead. Like, I think fire can sometimes have like their passion behind it, but Taurus is still going to be like, oh, I'll be respectful to your face, but like you'll still know where their loyalties lie. And it's almost even meaner or even scarier because Taurus is still, and it can still be respectful, but it's like once this kind of, I feel like any earth sign, it's like earth sign will still like treat you with respect, but once you sort of burn a bridge with them, there's really no getting that bridge back. Like there's really no consolidating and like, or consolidating, what am I trying to say, reconciling. There's really no like a Taurus will, or like earth, I feel like even if they're not, and that's what's almost like more effective about it, because they're not outright with their grudge that maybe say a water or a fire sign will be. And so it's like you just always like, oh, I know this is coming because this person hates me. It's like even like more worse because it's like they won't just say it to my face, or like not to say that they're fake, and they won't say it to your face too, but like it's like Earth really, they're like a tree in the way that they'll never forget, and all their scars will continue to grow with them. And like they'll remember in that way and keep their distance, and it's almost worse.
You put that
because you're always like, does that make sense? That's how I feel like. And so anyways, but that's hot that she threw her up against the wall and was like, bitch, I defended you. Like that would really make me mad too, because it's like, well, now you've made me look stupid. And it's like, and a Taurus leads with loyalty, so that has to feel like such betrayal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
So it's
Juicy.
so wild, so juicy, but so fitting with her chart. And I'm really excited to talk about the chart in this context.
Please, yes.
Yeah, so that whole behavior was so very Taurus. Then Sheena has moon in Sagittarius. And just
Okay.
like Adele. So yeah, very, very honest, can be very blunt and very fearless in a lot of respects, I'll say. And then Gemini rising, and Sheena has her own podcast.
Mm.
She's very I feel like she likes the gossip, and she, likes to talk gossip with the rest of the cast, and is very
Mm.
always, the one who knows things. Um
I also just feel like, sorry, Heather,
yeah.
Taurans, there's almost like an entitlement to gossip with earth signs that I think
Mm,
they have because earth is so loyal, and it's
yeah.
like they're like, you should trust that I'm not going to maybe like spread this, but earth wants to know it. It's like I think
Yeah.
earth really likes gossip in the way that it just wants to be informed, not so much. And I don't know about, obviously, if Sheena's really into her Gemini and really associates with her Gemini, that could obviously, I could totally have this so wrong, and maybe she really does get off on spreading information or whatever. But like, to me, I've always found too, a lot of earths in my life on a personal level really more they always want to be in the know. And it's not so much that they'll take it to their grave, but they'll know everything about everyone, and you don't know that they know that because they're so good about like locking it up that they don't like to come across as gossips, I've in my experience, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. They're not Taurus is not a blabbermouth. It's
Yeah.
very cautious about that type of thing, for sure, I'd
Sorry.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
absolutely.
gossip for the sense of like, this is healthy. Let's
Safety.
chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to like connect it, and it's a way to connect, I
It
think,
is a
like
way to
kind of
connect.
almost, I think earth is kind of sussing out like, can I trust someone to judge others the way I would? Like, not to
Right.
say they're too judgy, but like kind of like, I feel like earth really connects with other people who are like, wasn't that a super crazy and not down to earth thing they did? Like, that's more
Yeah.
of like where the judgment comes from, of just like,
Yeah.
can you believe how they handled that? Like, can I talk to you about this in a way that we can connect? Like, I don't know, I do think that
Mhm.
earth, that is how they almost like connect. It's interesting, it's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and say the name of her podcast, Heather. It's so funny.
Shenanigans, spelled
Yeah,
like Sheena. Yeah,
but
it's cute. It's
yeah.
cute.
Shenanigans. That's cute.
Yeah,
Sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So the Gemini rising, I definitely see the moon in Sag. So it's interesting because the moon in Sag is right up against the descendant. So you have the ascendant, which is the rising, which is
Right.
always on the left side of the chart, the AC. And then opposite that is the descendant. So if the ascendant is how you sort of dress yourself, how you present yourself, it's like the mask you wear, it's your identity that you show at a party superficially when you don't know a lot of people. The descendant is like what you attract from others. So the ascendant is very personal,
Interesting.
it's very subjective. The descendant is how you see yourself in others and what you attract, and how you figure out your
Oh,
personality based on like other people's reactions. Like it's that mirror
oh my God. I don't even think
imagery.
I know mine. I need to
Oh
know
shit.
mine.
Yeah, we need to look
We
that up.
never talk about the descendant. This is so
The
exciting.
descendant is huge. All my shit is on the descendant in my chart.
Not like you and me
Um,
even, but I just mean like, I feel like astrology never
I
is
know
is
it's
it
really
always
not talked
called?
about a lot.
Yeah, and it feels like it's kind of an important, again,
Very
every part
important.
of the chart is important.
Mhm.
But like when it comes to your ascendant and we call that your rising, is there
Mhm.
another name for descendant like that?
No, I don't hear anything
You don't,
else other
okay.
than descendant.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, go on, go on. Just a note
yeah.
to self. I'm gonna look up mine.
Yeah, look it up. Opposite the ascendant. So Sheena has hers right up against the descendant line, her moon. And then in the seventh house, also right by the descendant, is Neptune, which is Pisces planet of seeing everything through rose-colored glasses, wanting to feel that, romantic, larger than life kind of spiritual love and all of
Mm,
that. But then at the same time, the propensity for delusion or for seeing people through rose colored glasses to a harmful level. And I see that. God bless her, Sheena.
mm.
Like, she has such a big heart. Everyone on the cast talks about how she has such a big heart. But even this Raquel situation, I feel like she was looking at Raquel through rose colored glasses a little bit,
Right.
and she was disillusioned. And like, that's the thing with that Neptune archetype, is sometimes it has to like sacrifice things, or be like,
Right.
yeah, just taken off of its dreamy pedestal a little bit. um
To get a better view.
Yeah. But it seems like she's in a beautiful marriage now, and
I was just about to ask.
and fuck Raquel, and
Have her relationships been rocky
yeah,
on the
so that's the
show?
other thing is that early on she married this guy named Shay. Right? Or no,
Shay and
that's just
Scheana.
what they called him because yeah,
Oh.
her last name's Shay, so they called him by his last name. I actually forget what his first name is. Yeah. But it was revealed that he had like issues with alcoholism while they were together in the early seasons, and that's another thing with Neptune. They say Neptune in the 7th can like attract people who want to escape. You know what I mean? It's like that escapism
And that
Pisces
Pisces.
archetype. So then she
Yeah.
like fell into the savior role, but then that gets,
Gloomy.
murky,
Yeah.
and there's the martyrdom, and yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but I think that this also points to having a big heart and being able to see the best in people. And although she's very loyal and steadfast as a Taurus, and maybe would cut people out if they give her reason to, that Neptune on the 7th also is very able to forgive and and to let go. And
oh God.
yeah, I know. All the
I hate how much I relate. No, I'm just
right?
kidding.
Same. No, literally same. I have Pisces on my descendant.
It's hard. It's really like when moments are like always intense or like emotional or too, like it's always easier to see black and white. But like I think Pisces does have, for better or for worse, like we said, a way that it can like it's never in black and white. Pisces like has no ability almost to see in black and white. Everything is gray. And I do think there's times that that's really special and beautiful and good, but also sometimes in terms of
get
like
us in trouble.
It can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
God bless her. But she's in a good little something now.
She is. She has an adorable baby, and it seems like she's in a solid relationship. It seems like they're legit partners with each other.
That's cute.
And yeah, I think she's fully living out this chart. Like,
I'm so excited to hear about the next episode to see how that all still goes down.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, it aired last night, and then the reunion is going to be fucking insane. Like it is reality TV is it's that so community fun. Is just it's been living. Like this has been such a big deal. Right. But yeah, I love Scheana. She gets a bad rep for being kind of like having a picture of herself on her bedroom wall, but she like totally owns that at this point. She's like, yeah, I'm a little self-obsessed. I don't know if she's actually said that, but I feel like she owns it. And
that's so funny.
I kind of love that about Taurans. I think like,
well, you want that from your reality stars.
Obvious. Yes, of course. She's reality TV gold.
That's incredible. That's so funny. That's so funny. What about her chart do you think makes her more self-obsessed?
I think Taurus can be that way a little bit.
Obsessed with how things look, like the aesthetic. And she's like, well, I'm an aesthetic. Right. If you see yourself as an aesthetic, you're going to want to decorate your home with you.
No, totally. That's so funny.
But Taurus does appreciate the beauty, and not in all materialistic things, it feels like, in a lot of like ways. But that is really funny.
And she definitely like makes, her nails are important to her, and her, laser, and her all of the upkeep. But I get that. I, as a Taurus moon myself, I love my monthly waxes. I love my
Heather, I got a haircut recently and I said, I'm different. Like, it's so funny how my mood is like, feels myself a little bit. Feeling myself.
Yeah, I totally get that.
That is really funny. Scheana, honey, we know you have your own, but come on ours.
Come on ours, please. Please. I'd love to chat.
I really do enjoy Earth when we're in it. And it's really fun that I know technically we just had one episode release in Virgo because that was like the start of our podcast, but like how we've kind of like, you and I were still talking and communicating all through Virgo season leading up to that. And so it does still feel like all of Virgo was a part of the podcast, even though our first official recording wasn't. But
totally,
it's always Earth season, Heather, that it feels like we have these like either a launch or a reset.
Yes.
And I know now we're in the kind of the middle of another new launch, which listeners, I guess we can tease a little bit because it is happening. It's just not out just yet. It's something to look forward to this upcoming Gemini season for sure. Speaking of chatting more and talking more. We may or may not have a little newsletter coming out to surprise the folks with, but more on that coming up soon.
Yes.
If we want to share that, Heather, we can still
Yeah,
mix
no,
this.
I think we
But
should.
I think it's fun to tease it because it is happening, and I'm just so
Yeah,
excited about it. And
me too.
just this reset, this like total Earth always does feel like a. I think there is so much reset in grounding and getting grounded. I think so much of getting yourself grounded and feeling grounded and connected to your groundedness does require a bit of a reset or sort of like a
Yes.
pivot or like
Yes.
a change up. And
Yes.
folks, listeners, if you've been feeling the resets, if you've been feeling the change ups, just know you're not alone, honey. That's Sun and Taurus. We're about to move into that fun, airy Gemini.
We are.
We get to chat and connect, and it's going to be moving into summer, and like, we kind of get to own our little socializing. I love that we go into Gemini, and then what's next? It's Cancer of the water signs, and then we boom move into Leo. Like it's just so many fun signs sort of back to back, and it's so funny that they all take place like summertime too.
Yeah,
where summer
it
just does feel
very
like
summer. Gemini feels very summer to me.
Well, this spring, because we kind of the new year is still a little in wintry, and then like the astrologically we hit into spring when our new astrological year sort of starts over. And there is something about spring that's still not quite, the temperature is not consistent like summer. It's like summer hits and you sort of know exactly what it's going to feel like, what you're wearing, the vibe for the next couple of months. Spring has changes within it. Unlike winter's like the last stable. Spring and fall are like they're like transition seasons. They bring about a lot of rocky change, and it's like not a joke to me that like astrologically a lot of those signs level up with that feeling of the season, right?
Yeah.
Going to summer everywhere, or at least coming up, and like there's a stability to it. There's a stability to winter and summer that you don't really see and feel as much during the fall and spring.
That's true.
So it's really exciting that it's like the temperatures are going to be sort of at the settling point. These signs we're going to be in are kind of signs that bring about a little. I know we talked about there's lots of movements, lots of shit going on this year, but it's just no coincidence to me. The fun little signs we have coming up here soon.
Totally. And I should say that I think I said Gemini feels very summer to me, and it does, but it's actually the transition point leading us into summer, because summer officially starts with Cancer.
Right.
But
and it's literally the crab. But there's that like that. But the weather still is already kind of hot. Like summer weather essentially sort of hits by June anyway.
Yeah,
you sort
I think
of like
the
once
social aspect of like you're traveling, people are traveling to you, you're hanging out with new people. It feels very.
It's hot everywhere, kind of, unless you're the other side of the equator. I don't want to deal with that right now. I can't even wrap my head around it. But you know what I mean, folks. It really is. I always love Earth. I always love the reset, but I'm also really feeling this fun, lighter Gemini energy around the corner. Truly around the corner. I think it's this weekend, right, Heather?
It's literally, I think the 21st. It's literally in 2 days,
so
which I'm very excited about.
Yes. And we're still in that new moon Taurus energy. So again, as we talked about, we get to take a lot of like what we discovered, what we learned, what we loved about Taurus. Again, especially these like resets happening right at the end. And then now we go into that little lighter Gemini. It's not for naught. And we get to bring that Taurus energy in with us, that like stabilize, like not forgetting to stay, how we become stabilized and a little more grounded, but in terms of like our passions and what we really want more out of this year and in life. It's just really, I really love this time of year. I simply do.
Yeah.
It's about to get a little fun. It's been a little heavy.
Yeah.
I'm ready for some lighter.
Same. I am too. I really am. And Molly McCord, the astrologer that I listened to, has been talking a lot about how Gemini season, because it's a duality, the symbol is like the twins, that it'll often bring up like choices, which I think is interesting. I've never really thought about it that way, but that after the Taurus reset and the grounding and the really figuring out what your true values are, Gemini brings up options and things to explore and to decide, which I like that interpretation. And it really fits with things I'm dealing with in life right now. So something to think about.
Thank you for sharing that, Heather. That speaks to me.
Right? Yeah.
Listeners, I hope that shit speaks to you.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back here next week with an episode 36. Oh, Heather, sorry. Please, you wanted to add some more things about the sky.
Maybe just a few. Well, so
I'll go back and cut that out. Pretend I didn't close.
Okay.
Wait, I'm marking my phone again. Go ahead. You keep talking.
Well, I just want to add So we have this grand fixed cross, which
Yeah, go
just
into that,
sounds
Heather.
really funny to
It
me.
sounds
But
scary.
I know, right? It does sound scary, but I have a grand fixed cross in my own natal chart, so I
Oh,
live with
okay.
that
So this is
scary term.
something you can it's something that can occur in your own chart
Yes,
as
yes.
well.
It's
Okay.
yeah. So basically, like the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio.
Right.
And this week we're experiencing major planets in each of those signs, all like activating one another at a 90-degree angle. So
Okay.
it's Taurus and Scorpio are forming an opposition. And then but the big one is that Pluto. Mars is entering Pluto on May 20th and then forming an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius.
Okay.
So, and Mars is the ego and what we want to go
Mm.
after, but it's usually from just a very, Aries sort of intuitive impulse, like this is what my ego wants right now. But Pluto in Aquarius is more like this is what your soul needs. We kind of talked about this last week. So it's all these points. So it's like combining the Taurus part of you might want one thing, the Leo part of you might want another, the Aquarius part of you might want another thing, and the Scorpio, it's sort of having to
All the fixed
reconcile all
signs
of
are
these.
just
Yeah.
on the map. They're all kind of sharing the stage right now.
Yeah, yeah.
That
So
makes
you might
sense.
feel like pulled in many different directions.
Interesting.
But it's a very creative sort of battle because it forces you to figure out a creative method to synthesize all these different parts. And I live with that in my natal chart, but this week that's
Wow.
the energy that's very pronounced.
Wow. Oh my God, Heather, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Or that's some heavy duty action in this guy. I'm not trying to sound negative with this, but oh my God, it feels like we can't get a break. Or like there
I
is just
know.
movement on every corner. I'm really like, it's really something. It's like, and it's not just like obviously there's always movement, and we always discuss about this, but every movement recently we've been discussing is just really amplified. There's so
Yeah.
much extra loaded context there that
Yeah.
you're pointing out for us. So oh my God,
It's one of
on
those
behalf of me and
years.
the listeners, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's
It
one of
really
those
is.
years. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I think that we're being pushed, and
We
that's
are.
always
That's
good.
always fun. There's
Yeah.
always, yeah, that's always like there's always something bigger at play. And
Hmm.
that's just a fun, very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Ah, Heather, I love it. Episode 35 will be on episode 36, folks. That's right. Episode
Yeah.
36, right back here, right next week. Hold on to your asses. Um, and if you thought I was talking a lot this season, oh baby, you haven't seen Gemini yet. And I'll be in my moon. I'll be way too cozy. Oh God, I'm
Yes.
gonna be in my
We need
moon. I
it.
just remembered. Oh, Gemini's gonna feel so heavy. Actually, no, I'm
Oh,
just kidding. None
that
of
was
it's
just me this
bad.
season. No, it's not
No,
bad.
yeah, but you just how yeah,
Hmm.
we're feeling a lot, y'all. Um, damn, yeah. My three are really all right here. Or
I
it's like
know. It's
Pisces, and
back to back.
I get a break with Aries, but like, can you call that a break?
But
It's
you
like
have
the
planets in
astrological new
Aries
year.
too, so
Yeah.
this is your
And then
time,
so no wonder I'm just feeling like pummeled.
right?
Or I'm just
Yeah.
like, God, there's something new on every corner for me. And no wonder summer feels like a break.
Literally.
Just a little selfish tidbit there by me. But yeah, Heather, we fucking did it, dude. And
We
we're gonna
did.
keep doing it.
Mhm.
Listeners, we love you.
Love you.
Heather, I love you.
I love you so much.
I'll see you right back here.
Till next
Au
time.
revoir. Infinite abundance,
Infinite
bitches.
abundance. Bye
Love
bye.
you. Bye.